Alrighty, let's move on to the big ones. Finally, some marquee matchups here. We're going to start with the 425 games. That's Packers, Buccaneers. This is going to be fun. This total opened up at 51.5. It shot up to 54.5. That's the opener at Bet365, by the way. We talk about the licensed books in America here. The spread opened up with the Packers is just minus 1.5 point favorites. That's gone up to 2.5 at the leading indicator books. Now let's see what we have here ticket wise. All the money's on the over. All the tickets are on the over. We're talking, I mean, you got to take these stats with a grain of salt, but it's saying 99% on the over, 96% of the tickets on the over. The money's coming in on the Packers. 62% of the money, 78% of the tickets on the Packers. Packers are fresh off of a bye week. They're 4-0. Open the season by scoring at least 30 points in 4 straight games for the first time in franchise history. They're coming off an easy 30-16 home win over the Falcons. No Devontae Adams, set out a second straight game with a hamstring injury. No Lazard on injury reserve with a core issue. And no Mercedes Lewis. And what does Rodgers do? He turns Robert Tonyan into a superstar. 3 TD passes, undrafted free agent out of Indiana State. 6 catches for 98 yards. Rodgers goes 27 of 33 for 327 yards, throwing 13 touchdown passes without a pick. Zadarius Smith records 3 sacks, and Devontae Adams participated in Monday's practice. They did have injury problems, and it's unclear if it's all better. But basically, Chandon Sullivan, their DB, left with a concussion in the first half. It looks like he's going to be good to go. Cornerback Kevin King hurt his quadriceps. Then they have defensive tackle Kenny Clark, who's missed 3 straight games. And they've had Rashawn Gary, their outside linebacker, and inside linebacker Christian Kirksey inactive. So I don't know exactly what's going on there. And then Buccaneers coming off that 2019 loss at Chicago. Terrific Tom has everything in life. Just say you made a mistake. Just say you made a mistake. I don't know why you got to pretend you didn't make a mistake. You got 6 rings. You're going home to Giselle. You just made a mistake. Don't be an asshole. I just can't even, I'm still just shocked why you can't be a man. He's always been a man, even though, he was the most, the least muscular NFL prospect in the history of the sport. He's always stepped up and been a man. I don't know why he had to be such a little bitch and pretend he didn't make a mistake. It's okay to make mistakes. You're human. 25 of 41, 253 yards, 1 touchdown. Tyler Johnson catches 4 passes for 61 yards. Gronk 3 for 52. Ronald Jones steps up in a big way, 17 carries for 106 yards. But the Buccaneers, 11 penalties for 109 yards. They watched Vita Vea carted off. Keyshawn Vaughn was hurt on that massive hit by Fuller. Whale Capper was talking about how good Fuller looks for the Bears right now. LaShawn McCoy and Christian remains out. Chris Godwin and Justin Watson both were at practice today. And we have the marquee matchup here. Packers, Buccaneers. Take it away, Whale Capper. What are you thinking?
So we saw the Lions coming off of their bye. The line got adjusted in their favor. And that didn't make a ton of sense to me because they don't have a great coach and they're not getting big players back from injury. You see the same thing happen here where the Packers are coming back off of a bye and the line gets adjusted in their favor, mostly because of what people saw on Thursday Night Football with the Bucs, and they were really kind of uninspired by them, right? And sure enough, the Packers have been out of this world good this year. They're getting it done with players who you don't even don't know their names before the season started. It's really incredible to see how Aaron Rodgers is elevating the performance of some of these guys who are borderline replacement level players. But sure enough, they're getting Devontae Adams back likely. The defense is susceptible in a lot of ways, but mostly on the run. Tampa Bay can't really manifest much of an attack via the run, so it doesn't really scare me all that much. So I guess in total, with the better coaching coming off of a bye, 2 weeks to prepare for this game, I have, LaFleur, not my guy in the long run. I don't like what he's done in terms of establishing the long arc of this team, but for now, at least, it's, he's doing a good job game planning. He's doing a good job of, making the most of this, the end of Aaron Rodgers' career. So, got to buy in a little bit with what he's doing. So in total, I can entirely understand the why the line moved in the way it did. And it's possible it didn't move enough. It's possible that the Packers are that much better than the Buccaneers, and that this line is short. I mean, reasonably, if they replayed Saints, if they replayed Saints Packers tomorrow, or this week, it's likely you would see the same sort of thing where Packers are short favorites in that game as opposed to 3-point dogs, which is where it went off. And I think this. Buccaneers are a very similar team to the Saints, maybe a little worse. We saw them lose head to head. So it's not crazy to me that this is, the current, the line is where it is. And I would lean Packers, but we have also seen in times in the past that a team that was white hot to start the season, everything was going their way. It was clicking. You want to keep playing games. You want to keep going. And the bye hits them early and throws some cold water on them, and they come out a little rusty. And I'm a little nervous about that because Tampa Bay had extra time to prepare for this game too. Tampa Bay had 10 days where they were in the practice facility for the first couple of those days, whereas the entire bye week, Green Bay had to be at home. And so that does neutralize a lot of the advantages here for the Packers. And ultimately that kept me off of this game. But it should be a really, really good contest. And if this were being played in a totally neutral situation, I would probably be back in the Packers.
Do you agree with this market move towards the over?
I actually thought it was going to go down, but that's kind of based on if there's one thing that Tampa Bay I think is doing well this season, and they didn't show it well at all in the game against the Chargers. That was a weird game. All told, that was just a very difficult one to really assess and understand what happened. But their defense has been playing well over the balance of the season. Holding the Panthers to 17 in hindsight looks pretty good. Keeping a lid on a couple of the other teams that have decent offenses this season has been impressive. And I like what Todd Bowles is doing in terms of coordinating that defense. I like the emergence of some of their cornerbacks. And they're the loss of Vita Vea is going to hurt. But I don't think that hurts them as much as that would affect the total, because Vita Vea he wasn't doing much in terms of disrupting the passing game. He was mostly just a solid part of their run stopping unit, and they have redundancy in Ndamukong Suh. So it's I don't know that it's going to be felt obviously in this contest, and I thought this might trickle to the under, but surely someone out there feels like the boat race is going to be on here.
Oh, what an interesting spot. Packers, Bucks. Bebsy, take it away.
I do agree with a fair amount of what Will said. I disagree on some things. I do think Vita Vea will be sorely missed in this game because Suh, there is redundancy there, but he's not the player he used to be. And look, the Green Bay Packers have a wonderful combination at running back, and they're going to eat now if they can use that middle, which I think plays to their favor because they're going to control the clock in a game that is going to, I think, wind up being a shootout, especially if they get Godwin back. I don't know what's the status on Evans. He seems to be hurt every week and then plays and then leaves hurt again. Both teams are getting some weapons back. I just think that coming into this week, both teams had an extended break. I really like Bruce Arians as a coach. I'm kind of with you with regards to LaFleur. I think he's good. I don't think he's great. He's from Shanahan's system, so you see a lot of similar stuff there, and you see it making a little more sense this year than it did last year, which is what they say about Kyle's system. It's usually second year does better. I just think top to bottom, Green Bay is a better football team. And Jimmy, your argument right now with Tom Brady and his ego not admitting that he made a mistake, I think this could come into play again. Not that exactly, but if this turns into a shootout, we know Aaron Rodgers is on a warpath right now. We also know that he can still make all of the throws that were in his repertoire 7 years ago. He still can sling. He still throws a dime on the run. Tom does not have all of his tools that he used to. He's still brilliant. He still checks down with the best of them. But whenever he goes deep, it starts to get ugly. The man has thrown a lot of pick sixes recently because he still trusts his arm that he doesn't have the same zip that he used to. So if they start exchanging blows downfield, I can see a hard pick six coming Tom's way, and I think I can see the Pack pulling away because of that. And a lot of it has to do with Tom's got an ego. We know that. We know that, of course. And I would too if I had 6 rings. I wouldn't give my son that long, but that's Tom's choice.
You wouldn't kiss your son for that long? It's crazy.
I mean, it's just too long to kiss your son. That's all.
I don't know who's counting.
I mean, it was 3 Mississippis. Come on.
It was 3 Mississippis. It was at least. So we have no moves.
No, I'm on the Pack on this, and I'm kind of leaning towards the over as well. But for sure, I'm taking the Pack here.
I think the boat has been missed on the over. The best line we could give you, though, for the Pack is at Bet Rivers, -2 at -109. Does that sound good?
Lock her in, buddy. I love it.
There's a couple of 1.5s out there, right? Didn't Chris Bookmaker have -1.5? Oh, you guys are US shops. I got you.
Yeah, we only line shop for Bebsy on the licensed American books.
Smart.
-2 at -109. It's not been holding them back. All right. There you go. Okay, now we move on to the game. Everybody, we have the 2 perfect cappers for Rams Niners. 2 perfect cappers. Whale capper in Los Angeles. Bebsy, an enormous Niners fan. Let's talk the Sunday nighter Rams Niners. They've already mentioned in the chat how excited they are to hear this analysis from you guys on this giant game, and it's getting dark in LA, so we got to move quickly so we can still see Whale Capper's face. Oh man, it's so fun having Whale rolling with us. Okay, this opened at Bet365 with the Rams at -3 and -115. That's moved to 3.5. Rams are now 3.5-point favorites across the board. This total opened at 49. It is now at 50.5. Rams coming off dominant 30-10 win at Washington. Goff threw for 309 yards, 2 touchdowns, ran for another. Cooper Kupp, 5 catches for 66 yards. Cam Akers, 9 rushes for 61 yards. Aaron Donald, 4 sacks. Now a 7.5 through 5 games on the year. Oren Cole injured an elbow, their linebacker, on one of Donald's sacks early in the third quarter. And LA was without leading tackler Micah Kaiser. They placed Fuller on injured reserve as well. And offensive tackle Bobby Evans remains out. The Niners were completely annihilated by the Dolphins. We've already spoken about that in this show, and we can talk about all the injury issues, get a breakdown from Bebsy there. But Garoppolo, 7 for 17, 77 yards, 2 picks, 15.7 rating, threw 2 interceptions in the final 2 minutes of the first half. Passing game averaged 3.2 yards per dropback, and that's not even the worst. That's the second worst performance since Kyle Shanahan arrived in 2017. We talked about Brian Allen being abused. He was put up from the practice roster.